The story begins in a world divided between humans and demons. A long time ago, the two races lived in peace and would even help each other out now and then. However, one day, humans found an immortal ore inside a cave, and with this ore, they created magical treasures capable of casting all sorts of spells. Soon, a commander orders the 4th Regiment to activate the magical treasures. So, the human soldiers start firing energy blasts with their new weapons. With this newfound power, humans began to invade the demon race to get more resources. On top of that, they took over 90% of the territory and herd a whole lot of demons. However, the heavens decided to level the playing field between the two races. That's when our main character was born to change the game. Showing his hand, he begins to concentrate a massive amount of energy. The red energy grows stronger and stronger around our boy. Before him stood an entire army of human soldiers, ready for battle. And so, with a single strike, he launches a powerful beam toward his enemies. Our hero's attack plows forward, tearing up the battlefield. The commander and her soldier are in shock at what they just witnessed. From a distance, they see the trail of destruction the young man's blow caused, and a huge explosion erupts right in the middle of the soldiers' formation. The commander, now desperate, contacts the main base. She warns them that the boy has gotten stronger, and now the human race is in serious trouble. Back in his hometown, our hero is greeted by an excited crowd chanting his name. However, Lin Potion doesn't seem happy about this whole reception and has a dumbfounded look on his face. He then asks why they threw a ceremony, but his disciple says he's now the emperor's favorite. This is Muku, our boy's only disciple, and he explains that the nobles came running, chasing clout. On top of that, the crowd also congratulates Lin Potion's parents for having such an amazing son. Our MC complains that nobody cared about him when he was broke, and his fiancée says this is actually a pretty small turnout. She is Dan Yanduo, Lin Potion's fiancée, and she advises him not to reject the nobles outright. Right after, the patriarch of the Horse Clan offers 20 limited edition sports cars, and the Bear Clan offers a position as a martial arts instructor for 3 billion a year. But the Dragon Clan thinks that's chump change and offers 20 mansions, saying our hero deserves it. Lin Potion gets embarrassed and says that to make friends, all you need is sincerity. And speaking of sincerity, a group of demon girls shows up to offer their hearts. One of them then asks if her heart is sincere enough, and our boy says he has a girlfriend. Suddenly, the eldest princess arrives, and everyone clears a path for her. Our MC greets her formally, but she tells him not to worry about all that. The princess then says that her father, the emperor, sent her to invite him to the palace. However, Lin Potion refuses the invitation, as it's not the time to celebrate, and it would affect the army's morale. The princess blushes and says she expected that answer from him, so she accepts his refusal, and the nobles comment that he even turned down the princess for his fiancée. Apparently, someone didn't like that one bit and snapped the 20-centimeter heel of her shoe. Suddenly, a Horse Clan girl loses her balance when the heel of her shoe breaks. She was wearing a very flashy red dress as she fell. However, our hero, with his quick reflexes, manages to catch the young woman in mid-air. He then gently asks if she's okay after the big scare. The girl confirms she's fine, and the crowd watches the whole scene from a distance. But the leader of the Bear Clan gets the wrong idea, and his jaw drops. He yells that Lin Potion's secret fetish is for horse girls, and the gossip spreads like wildfire. Then, the demon girls start putting on black stockings to please our hero. The leader of the Dragon Clan sends his men to fetch girls who are already prepped. Our MC gets annoyed with the media frenzy, and his disciple tries to calm him down. Right after the chaos, Lin Potion's parents say their goodbyes and go to cook. Night then falls over the city, and the mountains become covered in clouds. Meanwhile, the demons celebrate another victory and the strength of their lord. Our boy and his fiancée take a stroll through the city, enjoying the fireworks. The entire city is celebrating, with lights and festivities everywhere. Muku says goodbye to go see the lion dance, and tells them he'll meet them at home. Lin Potion goes to get his parents, and Dan Yunduo promises to wait for dinner. And nearby, people watch in awe the traditional lion dance. In a temple, the demon race gives thanks for no longer being oppressed. And finally, the entire city celebrates the new era of peace with a grand fireworks display. Our hero walks through the crowd, thinking about his life's journey. He then reflects that the demon race has finally reached its peak. On top of that, he can't imagine how the humans could possibly turn the tables, because in the next battle, he will invade the capital and bring peace to his family. and his parents, who used to work so hard, now no longer have to worry. RMC then starts to remember when he left for the war. His parents called out to him worriedly in front of their old, humble home. Back then, he told them the family didn't need him to go to the army. A young Lin Potion had teary eyes as he said his goodbyes, and his parents begged him not to fight on the front lines so he wouldn't get hurt. Back in the present, he holds gifts he received from the people and smiles happily. He is very satisfied with his life and walks home thinking about his parents. Arriving at the door, our boy gets ready to go in and see his family, but something feels wrong, and he senses danger when he hears a fate call. Looking inside, he sees a horrific scene with his mother telling him to run. His parents were tied up and badly injured in the middle of a huge mess. His father, with his last bit of strength, also begs his son to get out of there. Suddenly, a powerful energy attack is fired in his direction. Our MC is shocked and horrified by the surprise attack. Then, with a heart full of hatred, he unleashes a wave of explosions. Our hero then realizes there was a hidden poison in his parents' bodies, and a purple smoke starts to rise from his body, showing he's been infected. From a distance, a girl laughs maniacally and celebrates that he fell for the bait. She reveals that she created 300 types of deadly poisons, especially for our boy. This is Shiarui, humanity's #1 poison sealer and the creator of the plague, and so she and her companions watch the poison spread across the mountain. Meanwhile, an army of human soldiers kneels in reverence. They are before the image of a man with red eyes and a large beard. This is Wang Feng, the demon sealing king, and he orders them all to attack. The soldiers then ready their weapons and aim at our MC, and they fire a volley of immortal or bullets with full force. Our boy is hit by several shots at once and is badly injured. One of the shots manages to go right through his arm, and he feels immense pain. Even poisoned and down an arm, he continues to fight bravely. A soldier comments that the poison is working, because he wouldn't normally get injured like this. Another shot comes his way, but he braces himself to fight back. The soldiers then shout that they need to take this chance to finish him off. Our hero then uses all his strength to fly far away from the battlefield. However, he's not running away. He looks down with a gaze of pure vengeance, but a massive cage of green energy appears and traps him in the sky. Then, a sealing art using sky lanterns is activated against our hero. The soldiers prepare for the attack, as Shiarui has gathered all the rope-type magical treasures. With that, our MC is bound by several energy ropes and can't move, and the soldiers are ordered to pull the ropes with all the strength they have. Our boy's face fills with rage as he tries to resist the trap, but the force is so great that he's pulled downward, destroying part of the mountain. Seeing this, a soldier orders everyone to hurry up and finish him off for good. However, even trapped, our hero raises his hand, which begins to glow intensely. He is dragged into a dark pit by the energy ropes that still hold him. Suddenly, his hand glows even brighter, preparing a powerful counter-attack. He realizes it's an ambush and, with a punch, opens a hole to escape from below. But beneath him, another magical treasure, the Qiankan cloth, was waiting to seal him. Then, Shiarui orders the magical treasure regiment to attack in unison. One of the soldiers takes the opportunity to shove a spear into his gut, and others surround him with their weapons, ready to deliver the final blow to Lin Potion. In response, our hero claps his hands together and activates his demonic magic with everything he's got. A golden energy explodes from him and takes the form of a large, shining flower. With the 100 birds flying technique, he creates a massive energy vortex. The attack sends the soldiers flying and creates several fire birds across the sky. The soldiers realize it's an escape technique and order everyone to capture all the birds. The fire birds explode with full force against the green energy net. One of them manages to slip through a small gap and flies away quickly. The soldiers are stunned by its speed and wonder how it's even possible. Another soldier then realizes that his body is already adapting to the toxins, and with a final push, the bird manages to break through the barrier and escape for good. Soon, the birds merge and transform into a warrior with a monkey's tail. Our hero finally lands on the ground and seems to have escaped the trap. He then celebrates the success of his escape plan and breathes a small sigh of relief. However, Shiarui appears in the sky and asks where he thinks he's going. Our MC looks back terrified as he realizes he hasn't escaped at all. Far away, Muku shouts for help and summons the elite of the demon race. He points to the mountain and warns everyone about the attack on Lord Lin Potion. Meanwhile, the villainess greets our boy with a very creepy smile on her face. Our MC's face is bruised, and he looks like he's lost all hope. With the young man defeated, she asks if he has any last wishes. He then says that in his entire military career, he never once harmed a civilian, and he continues, saying that his parents and his wife were also just ordinary people. The villainess is surprised and says she was just being polite, as she didn't actually expect an answer. But our hero begs her to please leave the other demons in peace. Then, Shioroi reveals that the plan to eliminate his family was her idea. Our hero is in shock as the villainess says his very existence is a huge threat. She goes on to explain that his genes are a danger to all of humanity, and for that reason, she raises her weapon and declares that his entire family must be eliminated. Right after, a soldier calls her on the radio to give a mission report. He informs her that all 43 relatives of Lin Potion's grandfather have been captured, and another soldier reports that the 57 relatives of his maternal grandfather have also been rounded up. On top of that, his fiancé Dan Yunduo's family was also caught, and she screams for him to run. Without a shred of remorse, Shioroi orders her soldiers to take them all out. Then, the soldiers attack the defenseless demons, who scream in pain and despair. They also open fire on the civilians with their firearms without any mercy, and a terrible scene unfolds, with many demons being gravely injured. Cries of agony echo throughout the mountain as the fire spreads. With everyone eliminated, the villainess dismisses her soldiers, and the mission is complete. Our hero has no strength left, and his consciousness begins to fade. In his final moments, he apologizes to His Majesty, the Emperor. He laments that the demon race was just one step away from achieving peace, and he also apologizes to his family for not being able to give them a good life. He then remembers his fiancée who, since she was little, had asked him to marry her. Our MC has a memory of when they were children and shared a kiss, and he remembers her father chasing him with a broom for seducing his daughter. In his final moments, our hero laments that he couldn't get married. His fiancé, Dan Yunduo, lies lifeless on the ground along with the other demons. Ants are already starting to crawl on his face as his vision goes dark. He then tells Shioroi that demons have a legend about reincarnation, but the villainess scoffs at him and says, "Maybe in your next life," with a cruel smile. She even promises that not a single chromosome of his family will be left. Our boy's consciousness fades, and he sees shining coins falling around him. Suddenly, he wakes up in a strange place, covered in these coins. He's in a small paper boat on a river with other souls, and asks where he is. Then, a mysterious creature appears and says, "This is the path to the afterlife." The entity introduces himself as King Yahello and confirms that Lin Potion has passed on. Our hero is surprised that the king actually exists and remembers praying to him. He then asks if this is really the path to the afterlife. Yahello explains that he needs to wait for his boat to reach the end of the river to be reincarnated, and to the young man's despair, that's going to take about 500 years. Lin Potion is furious and screams that he wants his revenge now, not in 500 years. Because he was so incredible in life, Yahello offers him a status ad program. Our MC has no idea what that means and asks for an explanation. The king explains that he can distribute points into attributes for his next life. Even the most excellent people who arrive here only get 5 points at most. But to everyone's surprise, our MC is a very different case. He has 1,028 points, and without a second thought, he yells that he wants time. Then, filled with rage, he starts mashing the button to speed up his reincarnation. Our hero says he can get the rest with talent and hard work. He just needs time, and he continues to spend all his points to shorten the long 500-year wait. With that, his little paper boat starts to speed up, going faster and faster down the river. He's already spent 68 points, and his boat gets an extra boost. Just like that, the reincarnation time drops to 471 years. Without stopping for a second, our boy keeps frantically pressing the button. The other souls on the river are left behind, completely confused about what's happening. His boat then transforms into a paper airplane, and the time drops to 312 years. He yells that it doesn't matter if he's born with nothing, because his revenge is more important. Because even if all he has left are his teeth, he will bite his enemies' necks. Meanwhile, in the world of the living, Shioroi suddenly goes into labor. Our MC's boat now turns into a speedboat, cutting through the water at full throttle. With 993 points spent, the time drops to 27 hours. The villainous' henchmen start to panic because it's too late and they need a bed. Our hero's eyes glow with an unwavering determination filled with hatred. His boat then turns into a rocket, and finally reaches the end of the River of Souls. A light appears in the darkness, and our MC is about to be reborn. Our hero reaches the other side of life and spends all of his points. He then faces his rebirth with a look full of hatred and vengeance. A bright light begins to shine, and his soul enters the new body. The glow becomes so intense that it blinds everything around, completing the transition. Meanwhile, in the world of the living, a man shouts that the baby's head is out. The doctor then holds the newborn and congratulates everyone on the baby boy. Our boy is confused and wonders if this is really his next life. He is handed to his mother and wonders if he's human or demon now. But upon seeing the woman's face, he is completely shocked and speechless, because his new mother is Shiarui, the villainess who ended his past life. She finds him so cute that she says she wants to eat him up, and our hero is terrified. Suddenly, King Yahello appears before him and greets him again. The entity then confirms that the young man's reincarnation was successfully completed. However, now he's going to take away all the memories of his past life for good. Our MC starts to panic as his mother celebrates that she now has a son. Yahello explains that she can't see him, and that he shouldn't be offended. And with his glowing staff, he touches the baby's forehead to erase his memory. Shiarui is startled by the bright light coming from her newborn son. Then an explosion of energy occurs, sending the henchman flying. The king is forcefully pulling the memories from our boy's head. Our hero's memories are pulled out in bubbles of energy. He realizes his power is also being extracted along with the memories of the villainess. So, the young man refuses to lose his chance for revenge and fights back with everything he's got. With his tiny hand, he grips King Yahello's staff tightly and doesn't let go. The king says that erasing memories is standard procedure and that mortals can't resist. Annoyed, Yahello tells the boy to let go immediately because he's getting in the way. He then yells that he just wants to finish his shift and go home already. The story flashes back to 2.5 years ago in the demon territory. A powerful man appears in the sky, his eyes glowing with pure energy. He is Yan Chong, one of the 12 stars of natural disaster, and the strongest of the humans. His rock-covered body crumbles away, and he levitates in the air with immense power. With a gravity-based magical treasure, he lifts a giant meteor from the ground. A massive wave of fire forms around the rock in the blue sky, and with the starfall strike, he launches the fireball to destroy the demon race. Fortunately, the young Lin Potion was on guard and launched a small green dragon. The creature then grows and becomes a huge celestial dragon guardian. The news of his feat spreads, and an important leader orders his promotion. Thus, our hero and the 12 stars became destined enemies, fated to fight. Another star, Lenkiankyo, creates a giant tsunami to drown the demons, and in the middle of the crowd, our MC prepares to face the wave. Our hero concentrates a great blue energy in his hand, but he could only seal the 12 stars of natural disaster. With his power, he sealed Lenkiankyo in the giant tsunami. Another star was Zen Master Shihang, who created earthquakes. He was also sealed by our hero in April of 760. Then in May, he sealed Tiantaizui, the active volcano in a lava pit, and Yao Yao, the devouring swamp, was sealed in August of the following year. Soon after, the ancestor of the deadly plague was trapped in a golden cube. One by one, he sealed all 12 stars of disaster. However, with Lin Potion's passing, one of the seals broke. The demonic magic that maintained the seals lost its master and vanished. Because of this, Lang Chianki's ice prison began to crack. With an explosion, she finally breaks free from her frozen prison. Soon, all the other seals of the stars also shattered. Yao Yao, who was sealed in the swamp, also managed to escape, and Zen Master Shihang breaks the chains that had bound him. And so, all 12 stars of natural disaster were set free. Back in the afterlife, the baby says they got lucky. He then grabs the staff and collects back his memories and powers. A red explosion of energy sends King Yahello flying away. King Yahello is shocked and can't believe what's happening. Then, with great force, the baby starts to pull the beam back, and with one final tug, he manages to rip the needle from his forehead. Yahello gets angry but then remembers a very important detail, because half of his power was used to seal the 12 stars. He then yells at Lin Potion to stop being arrogant and take a look at himself, because his baby body can't handle that much magical power at once. And before he can pull out the needle, he will burn himself out completely. The king then screams that his past life is over, and for him to just accept it. However, The baby makes a face of pure fury and refuses to give up. Then, an explosion of power erupts from him with all sorts of different colors, and all that energy concentrates into a very bright ball of light. Our MC then says that he will never accept his fate. He reminds Yahello that according to the legends, he only handles reincarnation because the gods have their tasks clearly divided among themselves. And for that reason, Yahello can't meddle in the affairs of the living world. And so, our hero will scatter his power cores across the world, and when he grows up, his memories will guide him to reclaim his power. Besides, he doesn't believe he was reborn as his enemy's son by chance. Finally, he promises to settle the score with King Yahello himself one day. The baby then scatters all of his power cores across the world. Meanwhile, King Yahello just watches the comets of energy fly by. All over, people fight to grab one of these powers for themselves. One young man even shouts for his brother who went after one of the comets. On top of that, an officer celebrates because now he will be the strongest. That night, the demons saw the cores streaking across the sky. They then looked up at the lights that once belonged to Lin Potion. Everyone stood still, not understanding what was happening. Soon after, the population realized the sad and unacceptable reality, and Muko, our hero's disciple, screams in despair for his master, because their great hero had fallen, and his power now landed on the earth. In the afterlife, King Yahello continues to watch everything from a distance. He looks at the baby on the ground and says the kid was incredible. Our MC is exhausted, and his eyelids feel heavy. His consciousness weakens, and his memories of his past life fade away. Soon, he closes his eyes and seems to have finally lost the fight. Nearby, his new mother, Shiarui, is down but still conscious. She then drags herself with difficulty across the dirt and dust-covered ground. With a terrifying smile, she reaches out her hand to grab her son, and with a look of pure evil, she finally reaches the baby. The baby thinks that he's forgetting the woman's face, but it doesn't matter, because when he grows up, he'll get everything back, and she will pay for what she did. Meanwhile, the soldiers don't understand the explosion and just want to survive, but suddenly Muku appears, crying and screaming for revenge. He attacks the soldiers with his magic, and one of them tells Shiaro to run. With his 100-toed whip, he punishes all the enemies around him. The boy then finishes off all the troops that were still in the area. Our MC recognizes his disciple and is surprised by his arrival. Muku charges forward with his whip towards Shirui and the baby. Our boy gets worried because Muku won't be able to reincarnate again. Suddenly, the whip turns against Muko and binds him tightly. The attack also hits Shiarui, who curses the baby with hatred in her eyes. Mukuo is trapped in his own thorns and is in pain. Even while suffering, he maintains a determined and rage-filled gaze. He then remembers his master teaching him not to harm the weak. Lin Potion had also advised him never to become like the humans. Back in the present, Muku screams in pain in his final moment, and his body is completely destroyed by his own magic. Our MC watches everything, unable to do anything to help. With a wicked smile, Shirui uses an escape talisman to get away. A large explosion goes off on the ground where Muku was, and only the remains of his thorned whip are left at the site. Muku then looks at the hole and realizes it's all over. He is left alone in the middle of the desolate and sad battlefield. Then, the boy cries for having lost his master and his parents. With Lin Potion's passing, the demons propose peace to the humans. However, humanity does not accept and launches a counterattack. But our hero had already prepared a response for this. He injected all of his power into the celestial dragon guardian. The dragon then reaches its maximum size with immense power. The creature dives into the earth, causing a massive tremor. The ground around the demon capital begins to crack, and suddenly, a giant dragon emerges from the depths of the sea. The demons are startled by the creature's appearance, and the entire capital begins to be lifted from the ground. With its strength, the dragon carries the city into the sky. It wraps itself around the city and carries it far away, and it places chunks of land on its back like a boat. The city now floats in the sky on top of the dragon. The dragon then flies into space with the city on its back. The animals of the forest watch the dragon pass through the sky. It flies majestically over the ocean with the city on its back. The celestial dragon then roars with force, showing its power. Following Lin Potion's wish, it took the 4 largest cities. Thus, the demon race got a chance to breathe and recover, and the 3-year counter-attack led by Lin Potion failed. The war between the 2 races then enters a new chapter, and our MC is reborn as a cute and innocent baby. His mother, Shirui, watches him with affection and finds him adorable. The baby then holds her hand, and she melts with love. With a smile, she thinks that in that moment, she had only one wish. She would protect her son for his whole life, no matter what. And so, time passes at the snow-covered summer palace. Cheru walks alone in the snow on a cold, dark night. She wonders why it's snowing and feels very lonely. Because all the guards and nannies went home for the new year. Suddenly, a child appears in the snow and calls out to her. It's our hero, now a little boy, running to hug his mother. She scolds him for being out in the cold and for not watching the stove. Our MC remains silent and seems sad about the scolding. Our MC then holds a pot with hot water, a smile on his face. He has a container that keeps the drink warm for his mother. Then, the boy offers the sugar water to Shiarui in the middle of the snow. She's worried about the fire at home and questions him about it. The little boy apologizes, saying he just wanted her to be happy to see him. A man explains that the boy ran home 3 times to heat the water. The footprints in the snow show all the effort he put into it. Shiarui is moved and laughs, saying he's left her speechless. She asks why he didn't wait at home, and he says it's different. With the pot in her hands, she smiles warmly at her son's gesture. He's happy she drank it all and asks about a head on the ground. The story shows a flashback of him admiring his mother in the lab. In another memory, they eat together, and he says it's the best. Our boy says he wants to marry her, and Shiarui laughs at the situation. A servant calls them perverts, while the mother keeps laughing. The scene changes to an amusement park with a Ferris wheel in the background. The two are having a great time at the top of the ride with big smiles. But a man whips a demon, who is turning the Ferris wheel with his strength, and another demon is forced to spit water as if it were a park fountain. Ignoring all of this, mother and son happily go down a water slide. They then enter a haunted house, and the guide says the monsters are real. She explains that they bought demons to be punished for their sins. The guide even lies, saying they don't feel pain and are just acting. After that, mother and son have a blast on a roller coaster at the park. And they also go down a giant slide with smiles on their faces. After a busy day, the two end up taking a nap on the park grass. Later, our MC falls off the swing, and his mother rushes to help him. Shiarui then lifts him into the air with a look full of affection and love. At night, they watch television together, sitting on the living room floor. The news reports that a demon official named Lee Dazi has staged a coup, and because of this, the demon emperor and his family have become prisoners. Experts say he might go after Lin Potion's former allies. The anchor laments that the greatest power of a demon minister has fallen. The news then recalls the case of Lin Potion's family from many years ago. Our boy comments that the entire family was wiped out because of it. He finds it strange that his mother is laughing, and she says even humans thought it was excessive. That night, Shiarui sleeps peacefully with the full moon in the sky, but our MC is awake and suddenly has a massive headache. The next day, he sees a plate of food with a very strange appearance. Shiarui asks what's wrong and says it's the 5-colored demon flesh. Our hero is shocked by the food and can't even touch the chopsticks he was holding. He tells his mother he has no appetite and that lately, he's been feeling very strange about everything because the boy feels like he needs to do something important, but can't remember what it is at all. On top of that, he always dreams that he's surrounded by the bodies of his clan and his beloved family. His mother, Shiarui, is surprised and asks, in a very excited way, if he also has a wife. She even questions if he likes his fiancée more than her, and the boy says it's very different, because he feels like he would be willing to give everything for the girl he can barely remember. Just then, a memory surfaces of his fiancé, Dan Yunduo, hugging him with great affection and love. Their friends around them tease him, saying our hero is blushing bright red. The girl smiles and says he likes her, while the others comment that she's the prettiest. But the good memory turns into a nightmare, and the girl appears trapped in energy threads, bleeding. Back in the present, our boy is in shock seeing her head next to him on the table. His fiancée's head floats above the dinner table, begging him to save her from that horror. Our MC screams in terror and wakes up in the middle of the night, covered in a cold sweat in his mother's arms. Shiarui tells him not to scare her like that, because she only knows how to hurt people, not save them. Suddenly, a mysterious voice says that the time has finally come to awaken the ancient power. This voice explains that it's the power of the demon core he has kept in his body for a long time. Because the hero managed to absorb several power cores when he was just a fragile baby, a female entity says she is different from the other cores, and that he received special treatment. She is the worldview brain and the first demonic core from Lin Potion's past life. The female entity laments that her master's family was all cruelly eliminated, but she soon gives a sinister smile and says it was about time, as she didn't like any of them. Then, the girl starts to cry with rage and complains about being born as a demon core, because she can't eat or watch cartoons and can only dream of the man she loves so much, screaming in hatred. The entity wonders why everyone can be with the hero except her. She looks at an old family photo and shatters the glass right over the fiancé, Dan Yoon duo, because the thought of seeing those two together after the wedding makes her head want to explode. Soon, the entity starts to have hallucinations and tells her brain to stop thinking about these things. But she stands up and swears that everyone is gone, and that in this life, Lin Potion is all hers. The girl stands in the dark, thinking about how she's going to put her crazy plan into action now. However, she warns that our hero's human body needs to be strong to satisfy her, because the entity liked him precisely because he was so powerful in his past life. If he remains weak, she will corrode his body with demonic power until the end comes. And with a wicked look, she says that afterward, she'll just find a new host to play with. In the real world, Shia takes her son to several doctors, but no one knows what's wrong with him. One doctor says he can't help, and a month later, they go to the corner of the Black Swamp. There, a black market sells demon cores and even children of the enemy race. On top of that, vendors offer demon organs and bones as if they were normal products. So, the mother takes the boy to a medical clinic called Kuhn's to try one last time. There, a mysterious doctor looks at the boy and says he recognizes that strange symptom. The mysterious doctor reveals that in his past life, our hero was likely from the demon race. Our boy blushes in his mother's arms and wonders if past lives are real. Shia is surprised and says she heard about it from the older demon sealers, because in the continent's history, some humans have claimed to be reincarnations of others. On top of that, they even carried memories, and she thought her old master was just bragging. But since she and her son had seen doctors all over without any positive results, she remembered some old events and felt the symptoms were very similar to the reports. That's why she went to her master's hometown to try her luck with a witch doctor like him. The doctor confirms that the ancient texts do indeed speak of this very strange illness, because the residual power from his past life as a demon is rejecting his current human body. So it's not surprising that the boy has this symptom of a constant, full body fever. The mother gets worried and asks what she can do to solve her son's problem. But the doctor says there's nothing to be done, and that the boy will pass away within a year at most. Desperate, she asks if there isn't another way, and the doctor reveals a very difficult method, because the essence of the boy's illness is the residual will of his past life as a demon. While our hero sleeps, he has a small glimpse of when he was called Lord Lin. The doctor explains that if he eats demon cores, his body's resistance will decrease. Shia gets excited because she knows that cores are the source of power for the demon race. A long time ago, humans would eat them to learn magic, but the method was later abandoned. So the villainess celebrates, because with her identity, getting cores is the easiest thing in the world. However, Shia asks what this demonification he mentioned before means. The doctor explains that her son's body and habits will become more and more like those of the enemy race, because one day, he will become a full member of the demon race, and he asks if she accepts that. The woman is completely in shock at the revelation, and doesn't know what to say or do in that moment. She looks at the specimens in the lab, while the information weighs on her mind like a rock. With a pale face and breaking out in a cold sweat, Shia grits her teeth in pure anguish and total despair. Our boy thinks to himself that now he's definitely done for, and there's no hope for him, because he knows his mother would never accept a medical treatment plan like that for him. After all, her family and friends were all eliminated by the demon race in the cruel past. On top of that, she became mentally unstable because of it and has 10,000 reasons to abandon him. Currently, demons are treated as third-class citizens and wander through human territory. They have almost no rights and are seen merely as livestock for humans to use as they please. No human would spend their fortune to buy cores and save the life of a simple pet. And since his mother is young and beautiful, she could simply give birth to another child and forget him. The doctor notices her hesitation and suggests she just pretend he never said anything at all, because as an important figure, all of humanity will boycott her if her son becomes a demon. Besides, She used up all her power in the fight against Lin Potion and still hasn't properly recovered. Without the support of the human government, it would be very difficult for her to survive alone in the world. The doctor apologizes for presenting such a messy plan and said, as it was his mistake. But Xiaorui interrupts him and says this is great, because it means her son can still be saved. Gritting her teeth, Xiaorui says this is great, because it means her son can be saved. Then she adds that she doesn't care about the demon race, and that she will take care of her little hero. Even if he's just a blade of grass on the side of the road, she promises she will raise him. Our boy cries with emotion upon hearing his mother's words, and feels her tight embrace. The witch doctor hurries to write the prescription, while the news spreads like wildfire. Soon, the newspapers publish that the heroine Xiaorui's son is actually a member of the demons. On top of that, the people do not accept the situation, and the demon Sealing King makes an official announcement. He orders that all of the young woman's titles and honors be stripped, and anyone who helps her will be considered a spy. In his diary, our hero writes that high-quality cores are rare and his illness won't wait. So, his mother was banished from everything and started selling the family's assets to survive. The family's situation went from bad to worse, and Xiaorui was buried in debt. 2 years passed, and the boy's illness improved a little, but they became very poor. With torn clothes and freezing, the two walked through the snow with nowhere to go now, because their old home was lost, and now they wander alone through the harsh winter. Hand in hand with his mother, our MC struggles to walk through the deep, icy snow. Feeling very cold, he asks if she can no longer conjure flames to warm them up. Xiaorui remains silent, and the boy realizes his question was a very big mistake. As soon as he asked that, our hero instantly regretted having spoken, because poison-type magical treasures work by using the user's future combat power, and his mother has already spent everything. She had to defeat Lin Potion and to get the cores. Now his mother is an ordinary person, and our boy knows she can't conjure flames anymore. That's why he feels guilty for everything and walks hand in hand with her in the heavy snow. Looking at a warm house, he thinks that the creator of the world must really hate his own creation, for he created disasters and diseases, while a man throws out his mother, who was begging for help. Our MC watches from a distance as his mother is rejected, shivering from the cold in the winter. He also huddles up because the intense cold freezes him to the bone, and he can't take it anymore. Suddenly, Xiaorui shouts her son's name with a crazy smile plastered on her face. Then she opens her arms and yells, "Robot fusion," saying that the creator also loves children. Right after, the young woman hugs her son tightly to try and warm his body with hers. With a smile, she asks if he's warm now, and if the cold has vanished all at once. On top of that, she says she's the strongest demon sealer of all, and that she can do anything. The boy cries, worried about his mother, but he believes she is omnipotent, just like the creator. That night, Xiaorui wakes up little Atian with a surprise she brought for him. She shows him a warm, sweet potato that she managed to get for their dinner. With a shout of joy, the woman says he must be starving and offers him the food. She tells him that she visited several houses, and only one family gave her the potato after a lot of begging. Our hero, who hasn't eaten in days, hears his mother telling him to eat, but he asks about her. Xiaorui replies that she has and breaks the potato in two to share with her beloved son. She gives him the larger piece and says she wouldn't let herself go hungry because she needs to take care of him. Finally, the boy eats the hot, fragrant potato while his mother watches him with great affection. Suddenly, a figure approaches their shelter, his legs all injured and bandaged. It was a young demon who says hello and mentions he smelled good food nearby. He then bows and begs the woman to share a little of her food with him. Xiaorui stares at the boy and realizes he's part of the hated demon race. Even so, she replies that, of course, she can share some of her food with the young man. But with a terrifying look, she says he needs to hand over his demon core in exchange. The demon boy laughs and thinks it's a joke, because he's the one who wishes he had a core right now. Because, if he had one, he could trade it on the black market for a lot of food for his family. That way, his sick sister wouldn't have to go hungry anymore, and Xiaorui is left speechless. She asks why he doesn't open his eyes, and the boy says he's a very pitiful monster. Hearing this, the boy realizes she's human and asks not to be beaten for getting clothes. The woman is shocked that someone would hit him, and the boy confirms that humans hate them. Since he can't see, he doesn't know if he's asking a demon or a human, and that decides his fate. Xiaorui reflects on the demon race and everything she went through because of them before. Meanwhile, our hero thinks that surviving in this world is a very difficult task. The demon boy senses an aura and asks if they happen to be of his race too. The mother replies that she is human, but that her baby is now part of the demon race. Her expression changes, filled with a deep sadness over the whole situation. Soon, tears begin to stream down her face as she thinks about what to do. Finally, she breaks the sweet potato again to share with the hungry little boy in the snow. Shiarui offers a piece of the sweet potato to the boy and tells him to take it without fear. The young man thanks her profusely and says that now he and his sister can live until tomorrow. He says goodbye and wishes her peace, because he believes that good people are rewarded. The woman remembers her teacher saying the same thing and ponders those words. She looks up at the starry, snowy sky as a cruel doubt arises in her mind. Alone in her makeshift shelter, Shiaru wonders if she is truly a good person. In another scene, our hero starts coughing up blood, and his mother goes into a total panic. She yells at a merchant, not understanding how the money she saved isn't enough. Because this time, she needs a high-level demon core to save her son's life. But the merchant says he's the one who has the final say, and that she should have some money. The man mocks her for not wanting to pay double the price for the well, being of her own son. Shiarui says she just needs 3 more cores to cure him once, and for all right there. So she gets on her knees and begs him to let her pay the debt later, promising she'll pay it all back. In the name of the humanity she once saved, the woman cries and pleads for a little compassion. The merchant just watches from afar as the woman humiliates herself at the door of his fancy shop. To this day, our hero doesn't know what his mother did to convince that man to help her. But since that night, the boy's body began to improve in a very significant way. After some time, the two are happily strolling through a forest in better, cleaner clothes. They even buy the 5 flowered demon flesh that our MC used to love so much. And at the amusement park, Shiarui shows her son that the swing set is now free. At the amusement park, a little boy cries on the ground while our hero pushes his mother on the swing. Suddenly, Shiaru loses her balance and falls face first into the sand while the boy continues to cry. Because the family situation has improved, and the mother can now get some jobs in the Black Swamp. She even plans to rent a cheap lab soon to refine her son's medicine. However, our MC feels very guilty that she sold her old laboratory. That's why he hugs his mother and cries a lot while she asks why he's so sad. Later, Shiarui opens a box and shows a purple demon core that shines very brightly. Our boy is mesmerized by the power coming from that item and can't look away. With a very strange smile on her face, his mother watches her son's reaction closely. Then she asks if that could be the demon core of the former hero named Lin Potion. Our boy wonders if that's really the demon core of the great hero, Lin Potion. Shiarui confirms it, saying the guy met his end at her hands, so she knows his power all too well. See, his cores scattered, and one just happened to land nearby, so she kept it on the down low. She explains that the hero was incredibly strong, and if her son takes the core, his illness could be cured. With a calm look, the woman tells our main character to just grab the item and use it already. But our guy stays quiet for a moment, thinking about what he's going to do with all that power. Then, he reaches out his hand to take the core, which is glowing with a seriously sinister purple energy. Suddenly, breaking news on the TV interrupts the mood and startles our hero. The anchor reports that the last demon city has finally been reclaimed by the humans. She explains that the place is located on the highest peak of the great celestial dragon continent. And now, with their new airships, humans can finally reach the dragon's head. With a bizarre smile, the woman celebrates the victory in the war with her fellow countrymen. Because the chance to invade the demons' last refuge has finally arrived for everyone. Next thing you know, a blast of red energy fills the screen, showing the battle raging on. Human soldiers are attacking the demons with their lances, and a whole lot of violence. And one warrior lands a powerful energy punch right in the chest of one of his opponents. Another soldier hops on a giant missile, screaming for everyone to advance at full throttle. Just like that, a fleet of giant flying ships gets ready for the final assault on the city. One of the soldiers climbs a ladder to get into position and begin the invasion of the great dragon. Finally, the creature's eyes fill with fury as it watches the ships closing in for the fight. Several explosions rock the demon city as the humans continue their merciless attack. Furious, Dooley, the son of the highest regent, complains that years have gone by and nothing has changed. Because even with a giant territory, the demon race hasn't managed to get back on its feet. He yells that no one with even half of Lin Potion's strength has shown up to save their people. An advisor warns that the humans have breached the outer wall and are heading for the city center. Meanwhile, in the meeting room, the council argues that their interests cannot be compromised. One of the pig-faced regents gets furious, shouting that the situation is completely unacceptable. Right after, another leader asks who the traitor was that sold out Lin Potion's information to the enemy. He warns that he knows the character of everyone there, and that only the inner circle knew the location. The fourth regent, who's got the face of a tiger, says that nobody expected the humans to be so cruel. He recalls that the former hero mentioned having relatives with talents similar to his own power. On top of that, the seventh regent accuses the humans of wiping out the entire family just to be sure. Then the accusations start flying, and the second regent is blamed for getting a promotion after the hero's fall. Tired of the bickering, the tiger regent shouts that the old emperor didn't put Lin Potion in power for nothing. The third regent, a rooster-faced fellow, stands up and asks about the status of the demon cores. He suggests that the warrior elite should go hunt down all the cores scattered across the world. However, the sixth regent, with a lion's face, thinks it's a terrible idea and says he doesn't get politics because the humans know all about Lin Potion's strength and wouldn't just leave the cores lying around for no reason. Besides, the cores were taken by the 12 stars of disaster, and getting them back is pretty much impossible. Finally, the young empress, sitting on her ice throne, asks if they have any solution at all. One of the regents complains that there's nothing to be done, and that the princess's father wasted his power. So, the young empress says she found an old friend who has a plan to save them, but the tiger regent yells at her, warning that the royal family has no chance of turning the tables anymore. He accuses the girl of trying to sneak her own people onto the council during a crisis. Right away, the other leaders say only Lin Potion can handle this, and that she should be punished. With a smile, the empress reveals that the person she mentioned is connected to the old hero. The rooster and lion regents wonder if some distant relative of the guy survived the massacre. Others question if it's his adopted son, but then remember he's not allowed to meet with royalty. Suddenly, a bright beam of light fills the meeting room, getting everyone's attention. The council members are stunned, staring at the door with looks of surprise and fear, because a female silhouette enters the room, leaving all the leaders frozen in shock. One of the regent's jaws drops, as he remembers seeing that woman somewhere before. The mysterious woman walks towards the council, while the empress watches from a distance. In a flashback, we see our hero and his fiancée wishing the nobles a happy new year. Then it dawns on the council that's Dan Yoon Duo, Lin Potion's fiancée, who everyone thought was gone for good. The lion regent screams in desperation, asking if this is the solution the empress promised. To make things worse, one of the leaders makes a tasteless joke about her relationship with the old hero, but Dan Yoon-do shoots back with a bold question, leaving the old man completely speechless. The pig regent says she's the #1 woman and could be used as the ultimate war trophy. All of a sudden, the council table is hit by several energy beams and explodes violently. The regents team up to attack Dan Yoon-duo, trying to hand her over to the humans as a gift, but the woman remains silent, just observing the greed of the leaders who rule her people. With a swift move, she uses a thread of red energy to get ready for combat. Then, the woman launches her attack with a determined look, showing she's not backing down. The energy thread shoots out of the palace, cutting through the air towards the wall protecting the city. It spreads across the entire courtyard, proving that the hero's fiancée is extremely powerful. The attack hits the watchtower, blowing everything to bits with surprising force. Right after that, several red energy threads slice through the wall and destroy the gate. The human soldiers, advancing with their jet boots, are caught completely off guard by the attack. The explosion sweeps across the battlefield, showing that the tide of the battle was finally starting to turn. After clearing the area, Dan Yoon-duo retracts her thread and asks if they can talk now. The tiger and pig regents are terrified, hiding behind each other in absolute horror. With a serious look, the woman reveals that the old hero left one of his demon cores with her. The leaders are floored by the news and can't believe what they just heard from her. The young empress smiles, saying she expected nothing less from her guest. In a flashback, the people comment that Lin Potion turned down even the princess for his fiancée. The little empress looks ahead with an expression of admiration and a hint of jealousy, because on that day, she who had always wanted to be by the hero's side had to swallow her pride, and Dan Yoon-duo, the one she envied so much, kneels before her to pay her respects. Finally, the hero's fiancée shows up with a plan to save everyone and asks for Her Majesty's help. The morning after the hero's fall, the townspeople went to the site to offer help. One of the residents shouts that he found Dan Yundu alive and asks for help to get her out quickly. Another comments that her family's survival rate in that massacre was surprisingly high. A medic says that one of Lin Potion's cores landed nearby and might have protected them all. The woman clutches the last gift she received from her beloved, crying with immense pain and longing. With her face bruised and bandaged, Dan Yundua refuses to believe he's really gone. Since his body was never found, she became one of the few who still held on to hope. Alone in the rebel, the young woman cries, calling out for her beloved with a completely broken heart. She tells her parents that a great ancient demon also used this technique to escape. So, the woman begs them to let her go after the cores and try to save him. Screaming, she says she is his wife and she needs to find his body, no matter what, right now. The Empress recounts that she didn't see Dan Yunduo for 4 years after that farewell, because the woman traveled through human territory to gather every piece of information she could. On top of that, the hero's cores followed his wishes, ending up in his most cherished places. The young Empress watches from afar, knowing that the stronger the core, the harder it is to refine, because even the greatest demon master would need a ton of effort to control that power. And when Dan Yunduo left, she was just an ordinary citizen with 0 combat strength. Now, the woman has returned, far stronger and more powerful than anyone could have ever imagined. The little Empress wonders what the woman went through all those years to change so drastically. Finally, Dan Yundua reaffirms that the hero left one of his cores with her for protection. The pig regent is completely stunned, yelling in surprise at Dan Yundua's revelation. Right after, 2 leaders invite the woman to come in and ask someone to bring a special document. In the middle of the city, the people shout and point to the sky as the council meeting is being broadcast. The council members take their seats, preparing to hear the woman's plan. The crowd doesn't understand why they're holding a meeting at such a critical moment. One of the regents holds a magic mirror that shows the entire meeting room for the public to see. Dan Yunduo explains that her identity can't be revealed, which is why she's wearing a hat. She also says the situation is urgent and her proposal needs to be carried out immediately. One of the leaders asks what her plan is to save the demon race from annihilation. The woman replies that the method is simple. In 15 minutes, they will drop the floating city. The impact will crush the human capital, and the demonic power will shatter the tectonic plates. This way, the entire demon race will perish, and so will over 80% of the humans. The people watching the broadcast are shocked, calling the woman crazy for coming up with such a plan. They also complain that the meeting is being broadcast at such a sensitive time. In the council, the leaders start arguing, and chaos breaks out in the meeting room. One of the regents even lights up a cigarette in the middle of the fight to try and calm down. The lion regent and his companion argue, trading accusations about the current situation. Suddenly, the rooster-faced leader slams his fist on the table, shouting that the idea is complete nonsense. He turns to Dan Yundo and starts cussing her out, but is interrupted by one of his colleagues. With a smirk on his face, Leader Dooley says that the woman's proposal is actually pretty darn good. Leader Dooley realizes the woman's plan is just a threat to force the humans to retreat. Dan Yunduo compliments the regent's intelligence, saying they have good political sense. In the crowd, the people start talking about the possibility of a peace treaty with their enemies, but Dooley explains that they tried to communicate with the celestial dragon for many years. However, the giant creature never paid them any mind and doesn't follow any orders. The woman says that's exactly why she's here, and that the dragon is the key to everything now. Because the creature is the personification of the hero's core and only obeys his demonic power. Even though she has one of the cores, she can only use 30% of its full power. The people watching the broadcast are shocked by this revelation, calling the woman a genius. She explains that the dragon won't be impressed by her power alone, and that she needs the council's help. That's why she wants the royal authority to force the warriors and commoners to lend her their strength. This way, she will gather the power of the entire race and channel it into herself to control the dragon. With their combined strength, she can finally give orders to the creature and change the game. And after the attack, no human government will just accept the outcome of mass destruction. So, Dan Yunduo says they just need to be brave and leave the rest of the plan to her. But the crowd complains that this is just a gamble and the humans might seek revenge. The woman agrees it's a gamble, but claims it has a 70% chance of success. Then she gives the people 2 options: choose her gamble or the certainty of defeat. The crowd falls silent, thinking about what they're going to do next in this tough spot. Suddenly, one of the demons raises his fist and shouts that they must fight the humans. The people shout that it doesn't matter if there's no peace treaty, because they're going to get wiped out anyway. Besides, they're tired of being pushed around by humans and want to fight to the very end. The defeated soldiers get back on their feet and say they'll listen to the woman in red. And just like that, the entire demon race unites, shouting that they will fight the humans with everything they've got. Meanwhile, in the human capital, the city goes about its normal routine, unaware of the danger. One of the council members stands up and yells that they must fight, but Dan Yunduo shuts him down. Leader Dooley finds the plan interesting, saying it's been a while since he's seen something so bold, so he asks the Speaker of the House to start the vote to decide their future. The Speaker adjusts his glasses and begins counting the votes for the woman's current plan. He asks anyone who is against it to raise their hand, and Leader Dooley is the first to do so. The people watching the broadcast are on edge, anxiously waiting for the result of the vote. The Speaker counts the votes and announces the result 690, 9-1. With the majority of votes against Dan Yunduo's plan, her proposal is completely rejected. The woman is in shock, unable to understand how her idea was shot down so easily. The Speaker repeats the result, confirming that the current bill will not be passed by the council. The crowd is furious, not understanding why. They don't want to bet on a chance for victory. With a serious look, Dan Yunduo says they have no reason to refuse her proposal. Leader Dooley calls her a genius for coming up with such a great plan in a situation like this. But he reveals that the fate of the demon race has nothing to do with the council members, because the nobles can just pay taxes to the humans and get immunity for their families. He then informs the poor crowd that to the humans, they aren't even worth as much as fertilizer, because their financial situation binds them forever to the demon race, leaving them no choice. And because they have no other option, the common people always think about protecting and fighting for their own kind. Leader Dooley finishes by saying that the poor love their nation, while the rich choose theirs. Dan Yunduo questions why the elite would risk a 30% chance of getting wiped out. The council members agree that the risk is way too high and not worth it for them. With a cigarette in his mouth, Dooley states that their mortality rate will always be 0%. He criticizes the woman for thinking she can change the world with a little bit of power and strategy. The other leaders complain that they're the ones paying the taxes to fund the wars. With a serious look, Dan Yunduo realizes that strategy and passion alone won't get her anywhere. The leader calls her an idiot, just like her Kai, and says his demise was already sealed, because from the moment the hero got strong and decided to restore the glory of the demons, his end was written in the stars. He also tells her not to hate them, because the entire noble class of their race wanted him gone, and even if they hadn't acted, the other council members would have taken care of him. Feeling a bit of pity for the woman, the leader advises her to think more carefully before presenting a plan there, because in some ways, that meeting room can be more dangerous than the human army. Dan Yunduo remains silent as the smoke from Dooley's cigarette rises in the tense air. He asks if she has another plan, then immediately says it's best to just accept reality. Then the leader stands up and suggests that everyone get their finances in order for what's coming. Finally, he adjourns the meeting, and the broadcast cuts off, leaving the people in total despair. The people shout that the hero was betrayed by his own leaders, and now they're all doomed. Suddenly, an explosion hits, striking the wall that protects the demon city head-on. The impact blows a giant hole in the wall, and dust billows high into the dark night. The residents scream in terror, telling everyone to run because the humans are invading. Right after, an army of soldiers in white and blue armor charges through the city. The human warriors attack the civilians with their energy weapons, showing zero mercy. The massacre begins, and the demons are taken down one by one with no chance to defend themselves. The city is plunged into chaos, and the residents scream for help as they try to survive the assault. With a serious look, Dan Yunduo tells everyone to hold on a minute, because she's not finished yet. She says the meeting isn't over, and that she has a new plan to present to the council. With a confident smile, the woman asks if the leaders would like to hear her new proposal. The council members are surprised, wondering if she really has another plan up her sleeve. One of the leaders tells her to spit it out, hoping it's not something impossible to pass. Dan Yunduo says she didn't want it to come to this either, but now it's time to get radical. Then she presents her first condition, a full pardon for all her war crimes. The regents scoff at her, saying that everyone who gets power wants to use it for personal gain. The second condition is that the entire demon race must cooperate with the plan to attack the humans. Leader Dooley is confused and asks what her goal is with all these demands. Finally, the third condition: she will take half of the assets from each council member for the war effort. One of the leaders gets ticked off, shouts that he's had enough of this woman, and launches an attack. The Tiger Regent yells that the woman is wasting their time and tells her to go to heck. Suddenly, several red energy threads slice through the air, hitting every member of the council. With a serious look, Dan Yundo asks anyone who opposes her plan to raise their hand now. She waits for a response as the leaders fall one by one, with no chance to react to the attack. A moment later, the woman announces that since no one objected, the proposal has been approved by all. She orders the Speaker of the House to announce the result and begin the operation immediately. With a score of 0 to 700, the woman confirms that the new plan was accepted unanimously. Her eyes glow with green energy as she takes complete control of the situation. All the council members have been eliminated, and the meeting room is covered in red. Leader Dooley drags himself across the floor, unable to believe she had the guts to do that. Dan Yunduo compliments his power, surprised that he managed to survive her attack. She reminds him that he himself said this room was more dangerous than the enemy army. With a smirk, the woman says she also agrees with the statement he made before the fight, because the humans wouldn't take him out, but she wouldn't show the same mercy as his opponents. With a look of pure hatred, the woman warns that she's going to finish him off, right here and now. Dooley screams in pain as she squeezes tighter, aiming to end it quickly. He cusses her out, saying he's the #1 noble, and she can't do this to him. He also warns that if she takes him out, the entire noble class will turn against her in the war, because the laws and the media will hunt her down, and even the people will hate her for this betrayal. But Dan Yunduo doesn't care, and the leader screams in agony as she tightens her grip on his neck. Leader Dooley gets desperate and begs the woman to spare his life for the hero's sake. He even offers to make her his 6th concubine, saying he doesn't mind that she's a widow. But the man corrects himself, calling her a noble princess, and pleading not to be taken out. With a cold stare, Dan Yunduo says her beloved is not gone, and he can try again in the next life. She tells him to never call her a widow again, and grips his head with immense force. Suddenly, a loud impact sound echoes through the room, and the leader's head explodes into pieces. Alone in the hall, the woman says out loud that she knows her beloved is still alive somewhere, and with her eyes glowing, she promises that she will deliver the entire demon race to him. Then, baring sharp teeth, the woman screams and summons the little celestial dragon with all her might. A moment later, a giant dragon with green flames appears in the sky, roaring for all to hear. In the year 3768, a new law was added to the council. The demons threatened the humans with mutual destruction to force a peace agreement, but the human race only agreed to talk when the dragon got close to their capital, and so the two races finally achieved a brief period of peace after so much war. In a flashback, our boy appears on the floor, shaking with a fever and looking very sick. His mother, Shiarui, holds him, panicking as she sees her son is burning up. In the year 3767, a man says he was a demon in a past life. Years later, in March of 3771, his mother is still lovingly caring for him. In December of 3774, the boy seems to be draining the life out of his mother. Back in the present, our main character prepares to take the purple demon core. In the year 3775, our boy stares intently at the purple core. His mother, Shiarui, gives him a very strange and mysterious smile. The main character asks if that's really the hero's core, and she nods in confirmation. Furthermore, the woman reveals that Lin Potion met his end at her hands, and that she knew him well, because his cores scattered, and one landed nearby, so she kept it a secret. She says it was a top-tier item, and that it would be a waste to just use it for research. Shiarui explains she didn't give him the core sooner, because its power was too much for his body to handle, but now that he's consumed many cores, our hero can finally withstand the energy, and with the item's power, the illness that has tormented him for years will finally be cured. She also tells him that this particular core was located in the hero's brain and might contain his memories. That way, he might find clues about the extermination case from his past life as a demon. And with any luck, our main character might even remember who his enemies were. With a calm look, the woman tells our boy to grab the item and use it already. But the young man stays silent for a moment, thinking about what he's going to do with that power. Then, he reaches out his hand to take the core, which is glowing with a seriously sinister purple energy. Suddenly, breaking news on the TV interrupts the mood and startles our hero. The anchor reports that the last demon city has surrendered to them once again, and she celebrates that the chance to invade the enemy's final refuge has finally arrived. Finding the news too loud, Shiarui grabs the remote to turn off the TV. Finally, the room goes silent again, and our boy's decision is still hanging in the air. Shiarui tells our boy to eat the core to finally get rid of his illness. So, without a second thought, our main character pops the item into his mouth and swallows it. Immediately after, he feels the energy of the purple core spreading through his chest. His mother asks if he's feeling better and if he's remembered anything yet. Suddenly, our hero's eyes go wide, and he freezes in a state of shock. The woman is also startled by her son's unexpected reaction after eating the item. With his hand on his head, the boy seems to be in intense pain and looks dazed. But soon after, he says nothing happened and that he doesn't remember anything new. Our hero even jokes that the fever from his childhood might have fried his brain. His mother theorizes that the hero might have stored his memories in a different demon core. The boy complains that they could have sold the item to avoid going through so much hardship. She hands him a drink and says she has things to do and needs to leave. She also tells him to get some good rest because the core consumes a lot of energy. The door closes, and our main character is left alone in the dark room thinking about life. After a while, he gets up and starts writing in a journal about what happened. And as he sips his drink, he remembers everything his mother did for him in the past. Suddenly, a memory of him and his mother playing on the grass flashes in his mind. Right after, he sees an image of a man being tortured with green vines. Then he remembers when he was a child, drawing while his mother worked. Finally, several memories from his past life as a demon flood his mind all at once. Suddenly, a whirlwind of memories invades our hero's mind all at once. He then remembers the exact moment of his demise at the hands of a pregnant Shiarui. His body trembling with rage, our main character clenches the glass, shattering it into pieces. Finally, he remembers everything and screams the name of the woman who betrayed him, Shiarui.